This is a story about my trip to Kosovo, Europe's youngest and most controversial country, but I wanted to see what it was like for myself. Albanians have had a growing presence in Kosovo ever since the Second World War, heightened by illegal immigration across the border from communist regimes in Albania, driven by economic hardship and political persecution. In 1948, Kosovo was 69% Albanian, 23% Serbian, growing to an estimated 81% Albanian by 1991 before the Kosovan War. In response to a growing nationalist movement in Kosovo in the 1990s, the Serbian government implemented discriminatory policies aimed at suppressing Albanian rights, such as restrictions on education and employment. In 1998, there was a full-scale war, leading to a NATO intervention. NATO's involvement was as significant as it marked the first time a major military alliance had intervened in a European conflict since the Cold War. The war resulted in an agreement with Serb forces withdrawing and Kosovo claiming independence in 2008. However, despite being recognised by 70% of UN member states, Kosovo has not yet achieved full UN membership. Our 10 hours in this mysterious land began 45 minutes from its border in Skopje, Macedonia.
I think it's going to be interesting, like the politics of it, because it's like a disputed country. And I've not been to too many disputed countries. And obviously we're in Serbia and like there's graffiti everywhere that says like we're going to invade Kosovo again and stuff. So I think it should be really, really interesting. Yeah.
What's the situation with the Kosovo stamp? Do we say yes or do we get a choice?
Usually they don't stamp.
Okay.
Usually they don't stamp. They stamp, it depends on which country is the passport.
So which countries would they usually stamp for?
My logic, they stamp countries who didn't recognize Kosovo yet.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, because not all the countries have recognized it. Like, for example, Spain haven't recognized Kosovo because they have similar situation with this Catalonia.
Yeah. If we had a Kosovo stamp in our passport, would we have trouble getting into Serbia? No.
Okay.
Nothing to worry. I have 20 stamps of Kosovo and I've been so many times in Serbia, so nobody cares. I think the only issue now is you cannot cross the border from Kosovo to Serbia.
Yeah.
You cannot go. You have to come to Macedonia and then go to Serbia.
So that was going out the North Macedonian bit, and then here's the Kosovo border.
There we go, first sight of the flag.
From the border, it was just a 1-hour journey to the Kosovan capital. Down the main strip now, down to the main cathedral, and it's actually quite lively. Seeing as it's Thursday lunchtime as well, a working day. There are a lot of people about, way more than in Skopje where we've just come from.
Yeah, it's much nicer. It feels a lot cleaner and a lot more vibrant than Skopje. Like Skopje felt like it didn't really know what it was, whereas I feel like here, I think it knows what it is. More similar to Belgrade, isn't it, really?
Yeah, you can feel like a more Slavic influence. In Skopje it was more, maybe a bit more Islamic. This is the NATO monument that we just walked past. In memory of the men and women who served with their partners in KFOR and gave their lives as a result of the service, we honour and remember their sacrifice. What's KFOR?
It's the NATO. It stands for, I'm going to get Kosovo.
For?
No, like FOR will be. Do you know, like UNISOM, for example, the UN, it'll be like the United Nations mission to. They all stand for something different.
Ah, it's all on the other side, that's why. That makes sense.
More graffiti.
More information about it.
Hilarious.
What percentage of Albania, of Kosovo is Albanian?
I think more than 30%.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot, because there's a lot of like these flags everywhere. Most of the time when you see a Kosovo flag, you see an Albanian flag next to it. So this is one of Kosovo's main attractions, Mother Teresa Cathedral. Mother Teresa was born in Skopje, but she's kind of like a symbol of the Balkans, so they all kind of worship her as the saint, as the tour guide said. Who's that? Any idea?
It's the same.
Yeah, it is.
It's quite fashionable.
Yeah.
Much more plain, isn't it, than the one in Belgrade?
Yeah, the one in Belgrade was so.
It was mental, wasn't it?
Like all the gold on the roof, and here it's just wood, isn't it? I'm not sure I've ever been to a city and been to the Central Library before, but when it looks like that, you kind of have to go, don't you? So it was actually voted as the most ugly building.
I think so. Yeah. It's cool.
It's hard to describe what it even looks like. What's it meant to be designed as? Do you think it's going to look as weird inside?
No. I think it's actually going to be really like, I think it's going to be so plain inside, honestly. I've got a feeling.
It's going to be disappointing.
It's going to be like really plain. Might be wrong, but...
So the one thing we appear to be missing is the books. It's got a very like old school vibe. Not like a library at all.
The Kosovo Conflict International War.
We found it. There was going to be some mention of Serbia, wasn't there? There it is. Yeah, graffiti seems like a common form of protest here. Pretty much every building has some sort of graffiti on. We found an angle that makes the ugliest building in the world look a bit less ugly. It looks like mould, those white dots. Does it surprise you? Actually, yes. I would have thought it'd be a bit, I don't know, less like modern maybe, but I guess it makes sense that it's quite modern because it's a new country, so it's like there's probably an effort to make it look quite nice. We then left the capital and headed towards Kosovo's second largest and more touristy city, Prizren. So this is the photo everybody wants in Prizren. It's much busier here. Way more tourists than in Pristina. Does it live up to real life?
It does.
Does it live up to the photos?
It's just, yeah, it's nice.
Almost the same.
You only can't see your phone screen because it's so fucking bright outside.
I wonder who's playing Prizren Fest this year. Dua Lipa?
Probably.
So she's Albanian, but because it's got such a big Albanian population here, she comes every year to play a festival in Kosovo.
No idea.
Tourist trap, Umbrella Street. Shameless tourists. Shameless. Here is much more touristy than Pristina though, isn't it? Way more. It's like set up for tourists more as well.
Let's take one picture of the full pint first.
Where are we going?
To the fortress. There we go. Not quite sure the right way.
We've gone from a very busy touristy town to the only ones here. I think it's a fortress? Up here. Thank you. Yep. Bet they get that all the time.
Definitely do.
So steep. Fortress? Up there? Thank you. Look at the state of that.
Do you reckon you could drive up that? How would you even do it? You'd be sat like on that clutch, like so scared.
Yeah.
Imagine hill starting it. If you stall it, you're gonna die.
I can't do a hill start on like a gentle slope. Just stop here. Nice view. I'll do. Back for the beer. No, we've got to get to the top. Imagine living there.
Hello.
Hey, excuse me, which way?
That way?
Yeah?
Yeah? You
It
said
was a
yeah.
nod.
Like Pristina, the capital, was quite cool. You could tell it was like a new country, but then you have a place like this, which is like clearly steeped in history, if you know what I mean. So it's quite cool. And this is an amazing view.
Overall, we had an eye-opening 10 hours in the country and I'd really recommend you pay it a visit.